So what happens when you take a character that you used to love and put them in a cameo of a new movie that you love now, and then give yourself almost no time to do the cosplay? What happens when you plan it out and you say, oh, I've got time, and then you realize that the con is in 2 weeks? And what happens when you take all of that and you add an incredibly time-consuming method that you've never used before in any of your cosplays? You get my Deadpool and Wolverine Johnny Storm cosplay for Metrocon 2025. This cosplay meant the world to me. When I watched Deadpool and Wolverine last year, I was so happy to see him in the movie. I'm not gonna lie, when he came on screen, I was like, that's Johnny Storm. Like, it was so cool, and I was so excited to see him. And I was so excited to see that he was in another movie. It was just so good and so, like, caught me off guard, because obviously he's been Captain America forever. So when I saw him in the movie, I absolutely knew that I had to do a cosplay of him. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But when I decided to do it, I decided that I would give myself a lot of time. This was supposed to be a Megacon cosplay, and I was supposed to have about 6 months to work on it. I ended up getting a new job this year that barred me from going to Megacon because there was just too much stuff going on and I was way too stressed out to get anything done. But I recently had a lot of time open up, so I was like, oh great, this will be easy for Metrocon. And then I waited and waited and waited and waited until about 2 weeks before the con, and I went, oh my god. I very quickly realized that I was so out of time, so I did what is the equivalent of a con crunch, but like not quite. My goal for this con was actually to avoid con crunch as much as possible, and to me, con crunch is the night before, which I did fail at still, so let's not get our hopes up here. What you're watching is not about to be some actual expertise, craftsmanship. What you are about to see is me doing my best to get it done before the con in a way that will stay on my body and look just okay for pictures that I didn't end up getting. For real though, I need to get better at getting pictures when I'm at cons, because then I end up coming back from events and being like, oh, I don't have pictures of any of that. I have a ton of pictures on the car right there. Nothing from when I was there. So here are the items that we're going to be working with. I have these pants, which are really like cool. I don't know. I thought they were just going to be like really cheap denim, but they're like almost a nice like suede-ish on the outside. I don't know. I'm saying they're really nice, but also they have several threads that are already like sticking out and everything. So like they're not great quality, but they feel nice. And honestly, I'm 5'4", and these fit my legs perfectly, like height-wise. So like this was a weird win that I did not expect, but I'm very happy that I have them. But these are what they look like from the start. They have the pockets on the side, and then they bunch at the bottom, but they have a zipper. I think these are gonna work so well. They look perfect. I tried them on earlier just to make sure that they fit, and they mostly do. When I went to buy these, I'm a 36 waist, and these are a 38. The 36s wouldn't have gotten here for a month, and these were overnight. And I'm already wearing a belt, so I was like, I'm just vetoing getting a 36. Next thing that we have are these boots. I bought just like the cheapest pair of brown boots that I could find. I do want to distress these a little bit, but I don't know if you can see it. They're already like supposed to look a little distressed. They have like a bunch of like black markings in them already. I definitely want to distress them a little bit more than this though. I just have to figure out how. Definitely want to distress them more than this though. But these are so comfortable. Like I put them on just to try them on again to make sure that they fit. And they're like so squishy on the bottom. This is gonna be like the most comfortable cosplay I've ever worn to a con. It's great. So this next item is the one that we're gonna be working on the most out of everything. It is this blue compression shirt. I wanted a shirt that was like a deep blue and that was cooling, which a lot of compression shirts are made with, I forget what it's called. I think it's just called cool dries, but it's like this material that is like freezing cold and it will keep you cold during the day. I wear these literally all the time. The only thing that's probably gonna get a little bit annoying is these like seams here. They're very like decorative almost, and I'm not gonna want them to be in the photos. So that'll be a hoop to jump through. So this was like the most unnecessarily large and like oddly the most expensive thing. This fucking belt, dude. But this is like so unnecessary. There's so many pockets, and I know this is gonna be like a nightmare during security, but it looks exactly like the one that I needed. So I'm very happy with this. I just have this fabric. I bought this like vinyl leather a while back for a cosplay that I never did. And I have like 4 yards of it. So we're gonna use that for the decoration that's all over his shirt and for like lining the 4 symbol. I think that's what we're gonna use this for. So on most superhero costumes, they have this like weird texture that's like kind of bumpy is what it looks like in a lot of superhero movies. And Johnny Storm definitely has it in Deadpool and Wolverine. And I was trying to think of a couple different ways to do it. And the best way that I could think of was to use puff paint. With this shirt, I knew it was going to be a little bit too bright, like this puff paint would be too bright of a color. So I bought black to mix with it, and we're going to mix it in this tube. This is just like a regular like dispensing tube. I think it was like considered a hair dye tube, but it had like plenty of space so that I would be able to mix as much as I needed and I wouldn't run out while I'm doing the piping. When I decided that I wanted to do the puff paint, I grabbed an old shirt of mine that is also, it's like the same material, it's just a way lighter blue. So I destroyed the front of it a little bit. I tested the different textures to see how I wanted to do it, and obviously these ones, very bad. I was doing them very quickly, and I honestly, could I have tried harder with these? Yes. These two were like my top contenders. I'm going with this one because the smaller look is like less bumpy. I'm going with this like smaller, closer knit one because the texture looks so exact from far away and it looks exactly like what I wanted. But this is just the blue paint, so obviously I was right to buy the other one because these two shirts are vastly different colors. I mixed about 3/4 of this black puff paint with about a bottle and a half of this blue one, and it gave me this color, which is so pretty. Like in person, it looks so good. And just to make sure that I liked the color on the shirt, I did a small patch test on the wrist because the wrist is going to be hidden by some gloves. And if you're thinking, hey, you didn't show us the materials for the gloves in the beginning, you're right, I didn't. I don't have it yet. I have to buy it soon, but I think I'm only gonna have like a day and a half for that, so that's gonna be, oh. But yeah, I did a small patch test on this wrist and it looks perfect. I think this color match is great, so I'm just gonna keep this lid on top of it and hope that it stays. I will say this method is going to take me forever. In total, I have about 5 days to work on stuff before the convention comes up. I have 3 days in a row, and then I have 2 days like a week from now that I have just fully to work on the cosplay because I don't normally like working on cosplays after work. It's just too draining. So I have 5 days. I have a feeling just doing the decorations on this shirt is going to take at least 2.5 because when I was doing this patch test, I was going incredibly slow because I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing. But this took me like 30 minutes. And it's not even like 1/10 of the shirt. Tomorrow when I start working on it, I'm gonna make the black decoration first and we're gonna sew it onto the shirt before I do all of the puff paint. And I'm gonna wash it and then we're gonna do all the puff paint after. Puff paint can be washed on cool, I think, after 72 hours. Fabric can be washed inside out after 72 hours with line drying. Yeah, so don't put it in the dryer. But it can be washed, which is like my #1 goal because I hate hand washing shit. Basically, my goal for the shirt is to make all of the black decorations for it, then do all the piping across the entire shirt, make the Fantastic Four symbol, and then to distress the shirt, which again, I think 2.5 days is very reasonable for that. And it is the most time consuming out of the entire project. Everything else that I'm working with as of right now is just going to be based off of distressing. That's going to take a long time. My main goal with everything else is basically just to distress it, which shouldn't take me more than half a day, like by any means. So 3 days should be the bulk of the costume. The last 2 days is what I'm assuming is going to take me to do the gloves because I suck at gloves. I think I might just do like a wrap and make it look like there's fingers in the gloves, but I think I might just hand stitch some stuff and make it look like that. But yeah, it's like 3 in the morning. So I'm gonna go to bed and we'll start on this tomorrow. Good night. So the first thing that I worked on for this shirt was to get all of that black tubing into place. I keep calling it tubing, but it was just the decoration that goes all across like the front of his chest. There's no real good images of the back of his shirt from what I could find. And it could be in the movie and I just wasn't looking hard enough. but there's not like a good image to see what was back there. So I'm not gonna lie, I cheated a little bit and I just didn't put anything back there except for the puff paint. I had no chalk to be able to outline the fabric, so I just freehanded it. And yes, it did look absolutely insane. That's why none of them look even, is because none of them were lined up properly. And that's okay, because again, from afar, it looked pretty all right. Actually, I took a video. I did get a video, but it's like a vertical video, so it does not look good. I'll see if I can get like it in, but it'll look kind of crazy. But it honestly, it looked perfectly fine from far away. It's just certainly not competition level. It did look a little bit insane. Even when I was putting on in the first place, you could see that I'm kind of like stressed about it because I'm looking at it like, oh no. Because you can see that like, unless it is fully stretched out, it does not look very good. Like if it's loose at all, which is not good. But it was fully stretched out because I had it under a belt, so it was totally fine. I actually did buy parachute buckles as like a safety in case it wasn't super tight, because as soon as I noticed that it needed to be stretched out, I was like, oh, that's gonna look real bad if I can't figure that out. So I ended up buying some parachute buckles just for like the inside of the pants. I was gonna like sew them together, make sure that there was a buckle at like the lining of the shirt to make sure it stayed down. Didn't end up needing to use it, but that was what I was going to do. After doing the black tubing, I pretty much immediately moved on to the puff paint because I knew how time consuming it would be. And I was right. Every single day that I worked on this cosplay, it was just puff paint for hours. I'm not gonna lie, I have carpal tunnel and doing this was such a nightmare. I don't know why. I loved how it turned out. Don't get me wrong. It looks exactly how I wanted it to. The texture of it looks perfect. The way that puff paint dries, it gives the exact bumpy texture that I was looking for, and it washes perfectly fine. There's no extra layers. It's not hot. So it looks great. It was like the worst decision I could have made for my hands. It kind of sucked the entire time. That's why I complained about it so much, was because it was literal hours of me having to do 5 to 10 minutes at a time and then just giving up because my hand was just in too much pain and I would have to stop for another 5 to 10 minutes. That's also why it took me so long. An average person could probably do this in a much faster time span than I did. And I did get faster, but it hurt so bad at first that I was like, I cannot do this. Unfortunately, the puff paint did take up most of the time, which is what started pushing my boundary. I would work on it after work. I split everything into 5 days, but there were little days in between, like 1 to 2 hours, where I would spend just doing puff paint to see if I could cut down on any of my time. And I did. I absolutely cut down on some of it, because if I hadn't worked on those days off, I don't think I would have gotten it done. I might have, but it's unlikely. So when I would start getting tired of the puff paint, which I think only started happening on day 3, where I was like, this is just too much and I have other things that I need to work on, I started working on the gloves almost immediately because I was very excited for them. The gloves are this like red spandex fabric that I bought alongside some white fabric that I used for the bandages. I'm not good at gloves. Hey, don't claim to be. But I'm good enough that I got them on my hands, and I will admit they are a little tight. You might be able to see it in some of the videos, probably not, but they are a little bit constricting, which kind of felt nice, but ended up being very terrible because of Florida heat. I love hot summer. I love hot summer so much. I love being warm. I love the extremes of weather. I love being super hot and I love being super cold. The sweating factor and the over compression factor that comes from the heat, though, mixed with the layers that I was wearing, I have never sweat that much in my life. I was sweating buckets the entire day because I was literally the long wig plus the long sleeve shirt plus the compression gloves. It was not working out well for me. But the gloves are just me outlining my hand like turkey method, and then just kind of cutting and sewing as much as I could. And then I made the fingers really long and then sewed up the tube and then just cut where I wanted it to look. And then I didn't finish the edges because I didn't want them to look finished. To be honest, I wanted it to look like he had regular gloves and then he cut them off or he fried them off by accident. I thought that would be cooler. And I think that did end up looking better than having like real finished like fingerless gloves. I think that would have looked a little bit silly. Like it would have looked polished, but it wouldn't have looked like him. I don't know. And then I did the bandages by just making like, I took the white fabric and I cut a bunch of uneven stripping, which I think I wish I had done it a little bit more even, but I wanted it to look like he tore it. I tried to tear it, but I was not strong enough to tear through the fabric in the slightest. I was ripping as hard as I could. I wish I got a video of it because it's so embarrassing. But I tried tearing it, would not budge. At the end of the day, they ended up looking okay to me. I kind of just tacked them on, like I pinned them while the gloves were on my hand, very carefully pinned them. And then I very lightly hand sewed it in place in some areas so that it would stick to the glove, but so it wouldn't be a part of the wrap. And then to distress them, I didn't do any I know a lot of people for distressing will use like sandpaper to tear at the fabric. I didn't have any and I didn't know that I had time to be doing stuff like that. In case it fully tore through the fabric and I had to restart. I was like, I don't have time for that. So I think the jagged edges were enough for me. And then I used this Metrocon Texas dirt powder and Metrocon charred ash. I used them together everywhere on the gloves to make it look like he had been walking through the void and he had been burning things the entire time and getting ash on his hands. I thought it looked really cool. I think the gloves turned out great. Honestly, I think it turned out kind of the best out of everything in total because they were the things that were the most operational, and I think the thing that I'll have to repair the least in the next time that I wear that costume. The pants were so easy. Because the pants were literally identical when I bought them. I just had to put the charred ash and the Texas dirt all over the pants, but that was it. That was the only work that I did on them. I don't think I got a video of that because that was during Con Crunch, which was like a 6-hour span from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. of my friends and I sitting in my room Con Crunching on all of our stuff. So I don't think I got a video of that because I don't record around them, but it was a nightmare of me being like, is this even worth it? But I think it absolutely was. Without it, I think it would have looked a little strange to have just gray pants. So they look great to me. I think they are so cool. I did do the shoes. Now, in all of the recorded footage I got of it, I'm consistent in saying that they look great and I love how they look. And I do love how they look. I just don't know that the charred ash did a whole lot. Maybe somebody else can see it more than I can, but it doesn't look like very much. The boots were already black and brown, and honestly, that might have been the only thing that I wasted time on, but I think I'd rather have wasted time than have it not decorated enough, because it doesn't make any sense that his shoes are the least dirty out of everything when he's walking through a desert. So I'm glad I spent the time on it. But maybe if I was doing another Con Crunch like that, I probably wouldn't have, looked at it as hard. So the next part was the belt. The belt, again, was super easy, just more of that Texas dirt and the charred ash on literally everything. The only thing I did differently for the belt was that I also used airbrush paint on a sponge and just kind of sponged it over because the ash was sticking really well, but everything had a green undertone to it because the olive belt. So I would put down a layer of the paint and then I would do some of the ash. I did that for the boots as well, but not as much. But I used so much airbrush paint on my belt. My airbrush broke a while back and I just haven't had the energy to replace it. And I haven't been working on cosplays enough for me to feel like it's worth replacing. So the only option I had was a sponge. But it worked really well to provide a base of brown, thick paint that diluted out in the same way that the dirt kind of did. It was, I don't know. I think it looked really good as the base for both of those, so I'm so happy I did that step. The next part is the symbol. The symbol is a little bit strange in the way that I did it because I don't think I needed to take as many steps as I did, but the symbol is really fun because my mom helped me make it. I don't have a printer, nor do I have a Cricut machine, and I was, again, running close on time, and I had no idea how I was gonna do the 4 symbol because I knew that me freehanding it was not gonna work. My hand is so shaky, and I was like, this is gonna look so bad if I try to paint in it, or if I try to Sharpie it on the foam, it's just not gonna look good. I asked my mom if she would be able to print out the 4 symbol on her Cricut machine, and she did in like less than an hour, and I was so happy. And she printed 4 different ones, which ended up helping a lot because I messed up the first one, which is exactly why she printed 4. She was like, yeah, I printed 4 in case like you make a mistake. I was like, oh, yay, thank you so much. And then I got home and I'm telling my roommate this as I'm gluing it the wrong way. I glued the 4 backwards the first time, and I think I have it somewhere because it made me fucking cackle. But as soon as I did it, I messed up immediately. I was like, oh great, and then the next one was fine. But the symbol is literally just a Cricut cutout on top of a piece of foam that I sewed a snap onto, and then the snap was on like the center of the chest. I do think there should have been a different way to do it. Maybe I should have done like 2 snaps on the chest because it did start spinning. The only video that I have of my costume like fully standing, it's like fully tilted and it's not facing the right way. So I probably should have done 2 snaps, but I at the time only did 1. And honestly, the last thing was the wig. There is a clip of me talking about possibly doing a short wig that I never ended up doing. I have the wig here. I have the short wig. I did not have time to dye it brown. The puff paint took me so much longer than I thought I was going to. So there was like no shot in hell. I'm looking at it right now. There's like no shot in hell I was going to be able to dye that brown by the time the con came. So I did end up doing femme. I kind of regret it because most people thought I was Kim Possible, which I think is funny. But I do wish I had given myself more time to be able to do the brown wig and to make it more of a masculine costume. That being said, the idea of wearing a binder to a con in this heat was like such a nightmare, so it's kind of like a give and a take. So what did we learn? We learned we need to give ourselves so much more time. Doing new methods of cosplay is so much fun, and I had such a great time learning how to do it. Doing new methods when you have no time is very stressful. And it does push you to your limits. I don't think the only thing I would have changed was giving myself more time, because again, it looked exactly how I wanted it to. So I don't think that was part of the issue at all. I learned that I cannot handle having long hair. Oh my God, I was messing with it literally the entire day. It was just so in my face the entire time. I learned that I need to spirit gum my wigs every time and not just some of the time, especially when the wig is as heavy as the long wig is. I went to find my spirit gum. Both of my bottles of spirit gum are entirely sealed shut from the spirit gum, so I have to learn how to open them. But that's why I didn't spirit gum them that morning, and it was not a good idea to just think that that would work, because of course it didn't. I was pulling on my wig the entire day, and it was really annoying and really overstimulating. I think my day would have been so much easier if I had just glued the wig down, or if I had just figured out how to do the short wig. If I had had more time. I learned that Tampa Bay is so weird. Tampa Bay parking was like the worst thing we've ever done in our lives. The parking situation, it wasn't bad. It was just there was signs, but they weren't like specific at all. And then we finally got into like the Wells Fargo garage, and everything was like the skinniest like space you've ever been in. Like it could fit exactly one car. We were driving a Kia Soul, and if we had been driving any other car, I don't know that it would have fit. It was so scarily tight inside of that garage. That was so much. There was construction everywhere. I learned that Amazon shoes can sometimes be really comfortable. Oh my God, those were some of the comfiest shoes I've ever worn to a con. Metrocon ended up being a great time. We really didn't stay long because again, we did con crunch and we were so tired by the time we got there. All we did was go through the vendor hall and then we went home. It's part of the reason I got no pictures was because I was like, I don't have the energy to take any. They're all gonna look a little insane. But the con looked fun. Honestly, this is one of the very few cons that I've been to where I had something I wanted to do every single hour and I just didn't end up achieving. But the panel list was incredible. There was so much to do. The vendor hall was honestly so diverse for anime. Like there were so many things going on. And my last question that I ask at the end of every single convention, every cosplay that I do, was it worth it? I so think it was. It was such a fun time, and even if nobody recognized who I was, it was so I haven't put this much work into a cosplay in a very long time. So to have like this costume on me for the entire day, not falling apart, I was super comfortable and I was just walking around the con center. I was like so happy, and I was so much more happy that I put the work into it instead of just showing up in a t-shirt and shorts. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just, I feel like when I start working on a cosplay, I want it to be for a con. And if I don't get there, I kind of feel bad about it personally. So I'm so happy I put the work into it to be able to get there and have a good time in the costume, whether anybody recognized me or not. But yeah, if there's anything you would have done different, or if I did something in a stupid way, please let me know, because I would do, again, besides the timing, because timing is my personal mortal enemy. If there's anything you would have done different, you know, please, 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 because I will use every one of these methods again in a longer time frame. And with that, I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you have a wonderful night. It is currently 2:46 in the morning, so I am gonna go to sleep. But I hope you have a lovely night, and I hope that you stay cool and that you stay cringe, and I'll see you later. Bye. The way that half of my eyebrow is already gone because it's so fucking hot. I'm not joking. Like, I am not joking. It is so fucking hot out. I'm used to it being hot because it's Florida and I've lived here my whole life, but this is, I don't think I've ever worn a long sleeve and gloves made of non-breathable fabric in the end of July, almost August. So this is new and very uncomfortable. But you know, there's free Monster out here. So like, I guess that's a win.